Alright. This is probably gonna be the most interesting one. So we have Anvil activated, and we have it because I want to get an attempt on this bounce, and I want to only try the after bounce. So we're gonna use our segmenter here and try to get a really good hit. So before I go ahead and talk about the 1-5, I want to talk about one very important thing before we do this. So first of all, stop asking me about Anvil. I cannot give it to you. You can only ask it from the people who own Anvil, which is basically Z's, Terry, Oz, and some others. The Anvil team is the only one that can provide you with it, and they will only provide you with it if you give a good enough reasoning for them through the request access. So yes, stop asking me about it. Besides that, I want to talk a bit about the FPSs in general. And I wanted to say that FPSs are not actually much different than you would think. You will say that each FPS gives you a different amount of speed. And although that's true, matter of fact is, it's not actually true. It's not actually the same. And holy shit, that was a good attempt. Alright, we have our attempt. That's good. Besides this, FPSs, as I said, are actually not different as much as you would think. So we have their respective, angles that they can all get speed on, which obviously on the angle helper will change depending on what you're using. I'm using invert right now, so you can see like how to 50x when you're using invert, for example. But I think the important thing to understand is that you will always gain the same amount of speed regardless of what FPS you are on. And what do I mean by that? When strafing, the player gains 1 unit per second per frame, which in turn means that 333 and 250 don't actually in reality give more speed. They only give more speed because you get more frames per second, and the speed that the player accelerates is per frame. And this is why it works like that. And this is why 200 is actually more efficient than 1-5. If the FPS was on the same angle, but instead of 200 FPS, we had 100 FPS, it wouldn't be useful. It would be useless, because you would generate less speed than 1-5 on the same exact angle. So, I hope that's an eye-opener to people, which is very interesting to think about. So, now we can replay this. I'm not hitting any of my keys right now. This is just replaying it on its own. And we can see my attempt first of all with angle helper, which is very nice. So we're gonna focus mostly on the 2-1 switch. So how do we do that? Well, we have a thing called ghostplay, and what this lets us do is actually check what happened. So I know there is a bit of bugginess with the FPS on ghostplay, but we can see that without even using any kind of angle helper, I am actually switching to 1-5 directly when the transfer angle is over on the start of 200 angle. And this is correct because, as I said before, the only reason 200 is being used here is because it's a higher frame rate than 1-5, therefore would generate an extra 75 speed per second when strafing with it. And the angle here will actually generate that speed. Matter of fact is, 1-5 can actually generate speed where 250 strafing is. Like between transfer angle and 250, around here, you can actually gain speed with 1-5, which is fine. Why don't you do it? Because it's 1 to 5. It generates less speed than 250. And same goes for 333. 250 can actually generate speed where 333 is, but we don't do it because 333 generates more. 333 is also extra strong because the difference in gravity on it is actually way crazier. So yes. What is going on with 250 and 1 to 5? Well, we can use 200 here. It's fine to use 200 here if we want to. But let's say we're playing legit. At this point, where the transfer angle will stop, we need to use 1 to 5. Not as we go inside 200. 200 is just an extent of the 1 to 5 angle. The 1 to 5 angle actually stops here, regardless of 200's existence or not. Alright? So, how do you know this? How do you know when to switch exactly to 200? And why is it important to make sure that 1 to 5 is being switched either on the exact timing or a bit before? And it's because of a thing called acceleration transfer? Is that what you call it, Sis? Where is it? Fuck me. No, it wasn't here. Where was it? No. Ignore free cam override. Damn, where the hell? Oh, overlays. Yeah, here it is. So acceleration vector. Those in which direction you're accelerating towards. Alright, let's see our little clip now. We're gonna see that our acceleration is looking kind of exactly where we want to go. Because 250 goes forward and then it goes left, so the momentum, instead of going completely, going sideways a bit, it transfers to going forwards. So, very good so far. Now let's try the same thing again. But let's take over and go over the angle with 250. Now look when I touch 200 where my speed is. And you know why this happens? It is because 250 is trying to go to the position where it starts gaining speed again. This process is, you usually use it in order to gain more speed to the left, for example, before bounce, You would do a small flick inside like this and gain speed towards that direction. And if we keep going and going and going, we get to this transfer angle where it goes like that again. And if we keep going, we get the same thing. And this is the same for each FPS. Even 333. But 333 has a dead zone. So instead we get a 0 acceleration message. If 333 could actually accelerate in this circumstance, it would go that way, just like 250. Same goes with 1 to 5. You see that? 1 to 5 can actually gain speed where 333 is, if we really want to use it. You see? It can generate speed just fine. It has an angle here. But it's not optimal because it's 1 to 5. So instead, we need to match the timing perfectly, exactly as I said. So if we enter Ghost Play again, so I can showcase you this. We can now see that, we're in 250, we cross the 200 angle, and we're kind of trying to cross it very quickly. Because, as we have stated before, this doesn't generate much speed, this angle right here. It's only to transfer the speed from one direction to the other. So, optimally, once you feel like you're about to hit it, you want to turn a bit faster. And then go 1 to 5, do your curving, And here I could actually hold my 1 to 5 more if I want to. I don't need to, but I could. And here I do a mistake also where I switch and I don't start turning immediately, so I lose a tiny bit of speed. But these are all, you know, very minor things. And obviously, if I want to RPG, I will now need to record a new segment. But I think the message is clear here on how 1 to 5 works. And the same thing happens with 200. You must be careful not to commit over the actual 200 angle while using it. I'm gonna show you right now about that. But I wanna get a good hit for a second, save it. Alright, so 200. So you see here, 200 gives you correct direction. And the moment you would go over it, it's completely fucked again. It tries to go to the other 200 angle, which is on 333 FPS now. Essentially, what I'm trying to say, with the start of the video especially, is that all FPSs have a lot of different directions that they can use. We do not use them on those directions because they're not as optimal, because FPSs with higher values can be used there. And you may ask, well, if that's true, why don't we use 500 or 1000? And that's because 500 doesn't accelerate anywhere. Same thing goes for 1000. We get 0 acceleration no matter where we look. But imagine if 500 actually accelerated to any point you would look. It would be crazy. You would be able to generate 500 speed every second. And with 333 you can generate 333 speed every second. 250 you can generate 250 speed every second, etc. So you can imagine how crazy it would be. There we go. Oh no, I feel like RPG really not go there. I'm not great at using 200 myself, but I'm trying my best. So now at least we can replay it, and we can see that I absolutely failed it. So 250, I used 200 during 200, during the 250 transfer angle, which does give me speed, but it didn't transfer my speed correctly, which is inherently very bad. So I need to do this instead. And this would give me much more speed, as you can see. Way better attempt. We can take this even further if we want to. Now I overstrafed, which is fine, mistakes happen. But you can see where I'm going through here. Because actually, like, not holding the 200 FPS too much is actually way better than holding it too long. Holding it too long will pretty much kill your speed. Like you're about to see. And essentially this is the case for pretty much any FPS you're using. If we use 250 for a bit long after the transfer angle, we're gonna get a huge slowdown. If we use 200 too long after the 200 angle, we're gonna get a bit slowdown because the FPS wants to go to the left. And you know, for 333, I don't need to say it, like you completely lose the speed you would get with 333. So yes, I mean, you know, this could all be obvious to someone hearing it, but it's actually way more important than you think. And also, we do not flick on 1 to 5. Please. Look what happens if we flick on 1.5. We're basically just like losing momentum. And usually it's even worse because people who flick on 1.5 are gonna do this. Look. Like what I see is they do this and then they do this. And it's like, where is my speed? It's all gone. So just try to turn smoothly. It's fine. Because the amount of times that I've seen this happen is painful. Yes. I hope you can now understand how 1.5 works and how FPSs work in general. But it is really, really important that you do not overstrafe while doing a 2-1 switch. It is what to take mostly from this. And obviously, try to hit the bounce a bit sideways. Or as much, like, the more sideways you hit the bounce, the more of 250 you can have used before. And this is what you need, because as we said, 250 accelerates faster than 1.5. In fact, twice as fast. And in the end, you're gonna use that 200, that transfer angle anyway, which in turn will transfer all your speed to going forwards towards the 1.5 angle. So your total speed will be way more by the end of it. I can definitely land with this attempt. I take over after bounce. But I should b4-2 because without the sustain, the little counter is going wild. Not gonna lie. Oh, we're out of sync? What the fuck? Okay, yeah, now we're not. I get moved. I held 250 for too long, so attempt is dead. Anyway, I feel like I would be better off if I took off every of these, you know, extra hard stuff. It's kind of hard to play like this, not gonna lie. But I just wanted to do it to showcase you guys why it's important to know overstream. You know, it's basically the most important thing out of all of it. And everything else is just knowledge of, and not knowledge, but basically going to the fastest and closest route possible. Like, take the least amount of space needed, because we could in theory do WD hit here and gain a lot more speed on the bounce, but at the end of the day we need to land on the left side because that's what's the closest to us and that's closest to landing, you know? Also here, for example, was one mistake where I turned too fast on the 250 and lost a lot of speed. This is gonna be a lot better because of that. I didn't pay my ass off, but yeah, this is definitely better. It's kind of hard to play with segmenter anyway. So guessing one more time what happens when 250 is held too long with the speed going that way. So yeah. Important stuff. I hope you understand a bit more how everything works and why we should we're using the FPS the way we're using them anyway. But why it's important to, not actually jump from one FPS to the angle of another FPS, even for a little bit. I think that's like the most important take out of this video. And pretty much the biggest eye opener. Like, there's no better way to illustrate this than this Excel thing right here. Like 250 to transfer and then transfer to 200. It's just such a huge difference. So, good luck out there. And it's really hard to actually feel at first where that angle is. But if I was to give a tip on how to realize if you're crossing the transfer angle, if you're using a speedometer, the moment your speed starts decaying is the moment you cross that angle. Oops. So I'm gonna like go slowly. You see, we gain. The moment we touch it, we start losing, like immediately. So, you can do it like that, and you can have like a point in your mouse. Usually it's like completely straight. Oh no, it's a bit more than straight. But yeah, it's kind of hard to learn, obviously. Like everything else, it needs a bit of practice. But I'm sure people can do it with a bit of practice, and especially when using the speedo, it becomes way easier to put a point on where it approximately would go, depending on how you accelerate or decelerate. You know. So yeah, very useful in general. So that's gonna be it for today's how-tos, and I'll do two more tomorrow, and that will probably be the last two because I don't know what else to talk about. I only have two things in mind right now, and I think I'm pretty much done with the most important part in terms of CJ. But yeah, I'm glad you guys like these guides, and I'm glad you're supporting me and saying a lot of nice things, especially on that 250 guide. Thank you so much, and you know, thank you to Z's and Pause for letting me use Anvil to showcase these things to you guys, and even helping me out with Anvil itself. Telling me how I can make this easier to understand experience, because obviously visuals are way it's so much easier to understand seeing what happens than actually just listening to me speak about it. So yeah, very glad I'm able to do this and showcase it to you guys. But yeah, thank you for watching.